Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cross Creek Cut. I'm Brad.
I'm Kyle.
So today we're actually standing out here in the soybean field. This is kind of part two of our series here we did right now. This stage of the crop growing. We're right behind our home location. So we're right behind Cross Creek Ag's home location and one of our replicated trials and what we got going on here in beans. So you're the bean guru. I'm gonna turn it over to you. Talk to me about what's going on in beans and what are we doing?
Yeah, so a little bit about this plot that we're standing in. So this is one of our dirt trials. So as you'll see here, we've just kind of got a long, narrow section. Front half, we're gonna have basically just one application. Middle half, we're gonna have two applications representing kind of that early foliar pass along with that R3 pass. And really what I want to talk about today is what's going to be in the back half of the plot here, and that's the R4 pass. You heard me right, Brad. R4 or even beyond. So we are currently in the process, most people are, of that R3 pass. It's been a long-standing industry norm to get your fungicide, possibly your insecticide, and some people do some foliar at R3. It's proven out, the data's there. I really don't want to kind of beat a dead horse there. What I want to talk about is kind of our crazy frame of mind, and that's R4 and beyond. Right. So how many people do you know that are doing an R4 pass, Brad?
Well, up until the last 4 years, Kyle, I can say no one has been doing an R4 pass. We started playing around with it 4 to 5 years ago, and somebody actually came to us and said, you need to be doing this. We often spray that R3 pass, and what do we all do? We all take off for the next 60 days before harvest and don't do anything to the crop and let it just do what it does, right?
Yeah.
But what they came to me with was the fact that we're at pod set. So when we get to R4, you're at max pod potential, right? I mean, there's no more nodes, we're adding to the top.
Right.
So the fact of the matter is we have all those nodes out there and we're not feeding it.
That's exactly right. And that's why this pass is so important. Like you said, we've got maybe 60 days left and nothing else is going on. So
just a lot of stress, right?
A lot of stress.
A lot of stress.
Last year with this pass, we saw a $21.94 ROI. That 3-year data that you were just talking about is close to $44. I think it's $43.74.
Yep.
But that's real money. And really what it is it's an easy pass. It's, for the most part, it's potassium acetate and Exceed Nano Brown Sugar or some other sugar products that we're playing with.
Yep.
You know, if we do get some tissue test back and we need something else, sure, we can add it. But really at that point, I'm thinking about really 2 to 3 main things. So what does potassium do in a soybean plant? So potassium is going to help regulate water movement. It's going to kind of activate enzymes, and by that I mean it's really going to trigger that plant to start taking some of its resources, some of this factory that we've done a great job building throughout the season, and trigger protein synthesis, trigger all those other nutrient movements in to fill the pod, in to fill the grain. And then from there we just get, you know, sugar translocation as well.
Sure. Well, the other thing with the nodules, I mean, we've produced so much nitrogen down below, and soybeans take a huge amount of nitrogen to translocate right through the plant.
Right.
So that potassium acetate we're adding is helping move nitrogen into the pod and increase in seed size.
That's exactly right. So another thing, Brad, that potassium acetate does, beyond just feed the plant potassium, give it that extra energy boost that we were talking about, is that it helps with this drought and heat stress. So we haven't had the drought stress yet.
Not here locally,
Yet. That's the key word here. Yep. That's why this R4 and beyond pass is important, because we're coming up into late July, into August. Eventually the garden hose is going to turn off and it's going to get dry out here.
Well, a lot of our northern fields in northern Indiana and north central Indiana around Peru area, those have been dry the last 20 to 25 days.
Right. Here
locally, we get a rain about every 3 to 4 days, it feels like here.
Yep. So, I mean, the science of it is it regulates the stomatal opening. It helps that plant maintain some water. It helps that plant cool itself. So there's just kind of another little, I don't know if it's a hidden fact, but a fact that we don't think about a lot. You know, when you hear potassium in the name, you just think about feeding that plant that potassium.
So cool itself? I need to be drinking some more of this stuff. Like, it's been hot the last 10 days.
Gatorade, big boy. Get you some Gatorade.
Yeah, that's a plug right there. Let's see if they sponsor us.
And kind of one more thing on that is that, you know, I feel like we're in a pretty high yield potential soybean field here. You know, if it does turn off hot and dry, that potassium is not really going to be moving beyond the plant, 30 days from now. Data shows that a high yielding corn plant,
It's beans.
corn on the
That's
brain.
all right. That's Bob Jr. according to our
A high
daughters.
yielding soybean crop can use up to 9.6 pounds of K per acre per day during pod fill.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So if we're hot, if we're dry, if we're not bringing it up from the ground, we've got to feed it somehow. So there's just a couple of the many reasons why this R4 pass with potassium acetate and sugar is a real winner for us.
Yeah, I think that what we look at for the last couple of years, Kyle, you brought up the fact that tissue sampling, right?
Yep.
So we looked at a lot of the tissue samples we've had for the last couple of years, and we needed boron, we needed zinc, and we figured out ways to be able to push those into the plant through certain products like Tune Up B and Nano Zinc Plus. Late season, everybody's like, well, why would you be adding more cost to it? Well, there's certain fields that we knew we were short on zinc or boron, and both of those are attributed to pod formation, but also retaining pods, allowing the plant to not shuck pods. Because if you don't know, and you're out there farming and raising a soybean crop, I challenge you, get out there sometime in August, depends on when you planted and what stage you're at. These soybeans will shuck their pods. There's only so much carrying capacity you have based on weather, could be rainfall, moisture, heat, nutrient
nutrients.
load. They will produce max amount of pods, right, Kyle? And then they'll just shuck them because there's only so much carrying capacity that plant can have.
Right.
So that R4 pass, what you're talking about, is why we've seen so much so much data from it that's been return on investment, has been because we are helping keep the nutrient load, helping keep that water moving in the plant, and just overall stress level down to retain. It could be even as much as 15 to 20% of the pods we're retaining from shucking, and that's a huge amount of ROI brought back to it.
Yep, so with that, if you've got any questions, would like to dig into the data on this R4, R5 pass anymore with us, reach out to myself, Brad, Sam down in the Delta. Until next time, thanks.
See y'all.